there, it's Christian Younggren with Kaizen Automotive Consulting, bringing you another automotive best practice of the week. In this week's edition, we're going to show you a 5-step objection handling process that you'll be able to use to handle any objection that gets thrown your way in the automotive business. Plus, once you learn how to master this technique and you get the process down, you'll be able to close a lot more car deals, plus be able to hold a lot more gross. Now, if this is your first time to our channel and you want to improve your sales skills, learn how to use psychology to close more car deals, and receive unbiased dealership vendor product and service reviews, go ahead and make sure you subscribe and then turn the bell on so you never miss out on learning anything new. Okay, let's go to work. The first step in the objection handling process is listen and agree. Now, on the surface, this seems quite easy. We all feel like we're good listeners. However, we also know it's a little bit more difficult to pull off and to really do when you're in a stressful situation like a negotiation or handling an objection. I mean, after all, guests, they don't always say what they mean, and they don't always actually mean what they say. So we need to listen very carefully to what they actually, the content and what they say. However, we also need to be paying attention to their tone and voice inflectuation and their tonality. Also, we need to watch their body language. We need to see if what they're saying lines up and is congruent with their body language and their tonality. And then, of course, we always want to agree because we want to disarm the objection. We don't want to fight right away on this objection, or we don't ever want to fight. And we want to go ahead and take some of the sting out of that objection because they know they're hitting you with something that you may not want to hear. And this may be difficult for them. So a listen and agree are step number 1. Step number 2, clarify. As we said, guests don't always say what they mean and they don't always mean what they say. So we need to sometimes clarify and find out exactly what they mean. When you say think about it, what exactly are you going to go think about? Is it something I said, color, equipment, or maybe is it the price of the vehicle? So clarify. Now, once we clarify what the true objection is or what the objection is that we're being given by the guests, we need to go ahead and isolate that objection. At some point, we need to make sure that if we're able to handle that objection, that it's not going to come up and rear its ugly head again when we think we've got the deal closed and locked down. For an example there, we'd say, well, it sounds like you're like me and everyone else, sounds like you're on a budget. Let me ask you, if we were able to go inside, sit down and fiddle with the figures and find a way to fit this vehicle into your budget, is there any other reason why you wouldn't take it home tonight? So we're isolating it. We're finding out that if there's going to be another objection that comes our way, once we get to the payment or the budget figure that they're trying to get to, are they going to talk about more for their trade? We want to cut those things off at the very beginning, or we want to isolate it when we're given that objection in step number 3. Now, step number 4 is justify. So now is when we have to roll up our sleeves and we have to justify our position. We have to justify why we've priced our vehicle as we have and why we feel that's a fair price or why it's a good deal for the guest. Or we may have to justify our trade-in value or the payments or the down payments or some of the elements during the negotiation or some of the elements of the negotiation. The 5th and final step in the objection handling process is close or renegotiate and then close. Now, you may be saying to yourself, Christian, you said at the top that you can use this technique and this process to close more deals and hold more gross. You're talking about renegotiating. Well, of course, at times it's the car business. I've been doing this since 1991, and I got to tell you, there's car deals where you have to negotiate to put the deal together, and let's face it, dealers have to make concessions, sometimes on the trade, sometimes possibly off the price. Customers make concessions, dealers make concessions. Obviously, your manager's not going to go ahead and put your deal together unless it's a good business decision for the dealership. So there's times we will have to renegotiate a little bit. Now, whether we close in the first pencil or it's heavy negotiations and we take a little bit of a beating to go ahead and put this deal together, at the proper moment, you still need to close the deal. Now, there's a particular type of question that we learned when we went through the video series, the best questions a salesperson should ask. There's a particular type of question that's really good for closing, and I think I heard somebody in the back say it. Yes, you're right. It's either or questions. Either or question's your best closing question. Why? Because you're asking a minor question and you're going to carry with it a major decision. Let me give you an example. Folks, do you want to pop, water, or coffee while we finish up the rest of this paperwork? Mr. and Mrs. Jones, do you guys want to title it in both your names or just one name? Or do you want the payments to start in 30 days or 45 days? Now, all these questions, they're good either or questions. They have to do with the sale of the vehicle. The guest knows that's what we're talking about, is them buying the vehicle, but it sounds a lot less threatening than, hey, do you want to go ahead and see how $55,000 looks in a payment? That's a little scary. So it's a lot easier and it's a lot more effective to ask that either or question. Now that we've explained each of the 5 steps in the automotive objection handling process, what I'd like to do is create a scenario, a realistic objection. In fact, I'm going to use an objection that I heard on my very first day on the sales floor in 1991, and that is, the price is just too high. Now, I don't think we're in fear of this objection going away anytime soon. My guess would be that we'll probably hear this objection until 2091 in the car business, so we're going to need to know how to handle it. So let's go ahead and walk through the 5 different steps and see how we check off each one of these steps as we handle this objection. So step number 1, listen and agree. So after she or he, the Joneses, give me their objection, I'm just going to say, hey, I understand. I get it. I see where, and I understand where you guys are coming from. But now I need to clarify. So I've listened and I've agreed. Now I need to clarify. So my next step would be, folks, could you help me out though? Could you tell me exactly what you guys mean when you say the price is too high? And so we need to say that in a very understanding, empathetic way. You noticed I kind of lowered the way I said it, and I kind of lowered my voice a little bit towards the end. Could you help me out and explain exactly what you guys mean when the vehicle's priced too high? Or could you guys tell me how you arrived at the conclusion that the price is too high? Or would you mind letting me know what you're basing this on when you tell me the price is too high? So again, we could use any phraseology in there or any type of words, but we need to get to why exactly do they feel like the price is too high? I mean, there's more to it. Really, what are they comparing it to? That's what we need to know. Now, right after we ask this clarification question, we need to hang on and listen, because the guest's about ready to tell us a little bit more detail of why they think the price is too high. And there's 2 types of really prices too high. There's the bluff of, hey, we're just going to try to see if we can negotiate to get a little bit more, see if we can fluster the salesperson. Possibly this has worked in other situations. Or maybe they really are comparing it to something else, and we need to know. So we want to find out, are they comparing it to something else, or are they just negotiating to negotiate? So we need to listen. Now, speaking of listening, we've got a special video. I'll leave a link above on the effective art of listening, and I want you to go ahead and check that out. I think you're really going to enjoy it, and it could help you in increasing your listening skills. Now back to the video. The clarification, after we ask that clarification question, let's pretend that our guest says to us, well, we just think that we should get more off. I mean, we've seen ads and we've seen them on TV priced a little bit less, and so they can't really give you anything specific. And they say, well, if you can't just discount a little bit more, I think we're going to go ahead and keep shopping. So then that's now our objection, is that we're going to keep shopping. So we didn't really get a chance to try to justify our objection because it really wasn't an objection. And then the objection morphed into, hey, we're just going to go ahead and shop around if you guys can't discount it. Now, we'd like to go ahead and hold some gross. They're threatening to leave unless we discount the vehicle, so we've got to say something. So we need to justify it. And how we justify it is with a little time is money close that I learned years ago, and I'll go ahead and do it. And it would just go like this. Folks, I do understand, and it's okay if you guys want to shop around. Before you take off, though, let me ask you, you do like the truck, don't you? Well, good. Well, since we all own them for the same thing, I mean, how much more did you think you were going to save by shopping? $50, $75, $100? $1,000? Gosh, I kind of doubt it the way margins are nowadays. But let me show you and tell you what I've seen some other customers have done and maybe help you from doing the same. You see, most of my guests, their time's worth money, just like I'm sure yours is. Am I wrong? Yeah, of course it is. And did you know it can take sometimes hours or days or even weeks of shopping around, looking around, trying to find a truck you like when there's one you like right here? And then it can take even more time shopping around, looking around, trying to save $1 or $2. I mean, heck, by the time you guys end up shopping around, looking around for the perfect truck, you could have actually gone in the hole just trying to save a couple bucks. I think together we've kind of discovered this vehicle's got all the equipment that you guys want, and you guys said you love the truck. I mean, why don't we just go ahead and put all this shopping behind you and get you out of here? That way you guys can use your time to enjoy the truck for the rest of this Saturday afternoon. Did you guys want another coffee or you want a water while we go ahead and finish up the rest of the paperwork? Bam! Now we've got ourselves into another closing situation. It's not closed, I know. They may not go ahead and accept that, but we've attempted to justify our position with the time is money close. And then I asked an either or question to try to close by asking if they wanted another coffee or a water to drink while we finished up the paperwork. Now they're either going to say, give me another water, and then we're going to go ahead and finish the paperwork, or they're going to say, you know what, we'll take a water, but we're going to leave, or we'll take a water for the road. If you guys can't do any better, can't give us some type of a discount, we're going to leave. Well, with statistics saying that the guest's probably not going to return. If you remember in an earlier video, we said that there was only a 33% chance based on NADA statistics that if the guest leaves without buying after they're given those figures, they're probably not going to come back. And if it's a brand new vehicle, let's face it, there's a lot of competition, even if we do have a great price on that vehicle. So we want to go ahead and see if we can't lock it down right now. So if we had to give some type of a concession, we will, but we want it to be a smaller dollar amount rather than a larger dollar amount. So we're going to use a little number close that I learned years ago, and we're going to go ahead and use the referral advanced credit to try to go ahead and lock this thing down. So here's how it would go. After they hit us with, you know what, if you guys can't give us some type of a discount, I mean, you know, we wanted 1,000 more, but we need some type of additional discount, or we're just not buying the car today. Maybe they ask for $500. You know what? Unless you can give us 5 off, we're not going to take it today. And so I'd say, yeah, folks, you know what? I do understand where you're coming from, and you know, I obviously want to get as much as you can. Now, as I've discussed with you, the vehicle has been pre-discounted. Now, all that aside, here's an idea. You know, our dealerships long-term success is basically going to be built on repeat and referral customers. It has been, and it will continue to be strong if we have repeat customers like yourself. That's why we set up the $100 referral fee when you send us a guest that ends up coming in and purchasing from us. Now here's my idea. I think that if we do business together, you're going to be really happy with your service and the way you're treated. I really think you will. And I think eventually you'd probably end up sending me some referrals and some friends of yours to purchase. So here's the idea. What if I asked my manager to go ahead and advance us a referral fee of $100 today? And then say you send in your friends 3 or 4 months from now. We'll still go ahead and give you the $100 referral fee then as well. So if I could get my manager to go ahead and advance us $100 on the price or off the price of this truck today, do you see any other reason why you wouldn't take it home today? And then be quiet and let them answer. They're going to say, yeah, we go ahead. If you could give us, I tell you what, I mean, not 100, but if you give us 200, we'll split the 500 with it. I don't know exactly what they're going to say. We'll renegotiate possibly, or they're going to close on that figure. But now we've got kind of the numbers back in play, and we've got the truck back in play, and they're not talking about leaving anymore. So if they did say, yes, we will go ahead and do it. If you guys do that, we'd write up the order as an offer. We'd create some doubt, letting them know that it's not approved. And then we'd ask if either or question, do you want a pop water or coffee while I go ahead and see if I can get this approved by my manager? And then my guess is we'd probably end up closing a deal. If we were able to get it down to $100 or a couple $100, your managers, they're going to obviously look at the whole figures and make sure it's a good business decision. But I bet we find a way to deliver the car. Well, there you have it. The 5 steps in handling any automotive objection you're going to get in the car business. You learn these 5 steps, you'll close more deals, and you'll hold more gross. Now, if you want to learn more automotive sales techniques, processes, word tracks, or just concepts, please go ahead and make sure you click on the videos that are going to be coming up right about now.